like to call the February 25th, 2020 regular City Council meeting to order. Deputy City Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Brown?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa?
Here.
Councilmember Meyer?
Here.
Councilmember Percival?
Here.
Councilmember Wright?
Here.
Thank you.
And tonight, our invocation will be done by Mary Rysdale of the Interfaith Council, after which Mayor Pro Tem Krupa will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Thank you. Glory be to thee, O God, for thy manifestation of love to mankind. O thou who art our life and light, guide thy servants in thy way, and make us rich in thee, and free us from all save thee. O God, teach us thy oneness, and give us a realization of thy unity, that we may see no one save thee. Thou art the merciful and the giver of bounty. O God, create in the hearts of thy beloved the light of thy love, the fire of thy love, that it may consume the thought of everything save thee. Reveal to us, O God, thine exalted eternity, that thou hast ever been and wilt ever be, and that there is no God save thee. Verily, in thee we find comfort and strength. Amen.
Please join me as we salute our nation's
Which is hiding behind the city manager.
Please begin with me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Apologies to all of the veterans that are in the building this evening. We'll get this squared away. The American flag is on the wrong side. I should have noticed that, but it was behind me. Okay. We have no city attorney report on closed session because that closed session will occur after our regular session this evening, which brings us to item 5, communications from the public. Anyone who wishes to speak during public comment or on a particular item will be required to fill out a speaker slip. These slips must be turned in to the city clerk. Each request will cover one speaker. Those who wish to speak must submit their own request to be called on by the mayor. There's a 3-minute per person time limit for all comments, including public or quasi-judicial hearings. Written comments on any item may also be submitted to the city clerk to be included in the meeting record. However, they will not be read aloud. All who wish to speak, including council members and staff, need to be recognized by the mayor before speaking. Members of the public shall comply with the adopted rules of decorum as laid out in Resolution 4545, a copy of which can be requested through the city clerk's office. As a reminder, please mute or turn off your cell phones or electronic devices while the meeting is in session. Deputy City Clerk, do we have any speaker slips?
Yes, Mayor, there are 3 requests to speak. The first one is Richard Kontla, followed by Dennis Fletcher.
Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, I thank you for the opportunity to speak. I came to my first meeting 2 weeks ago because on my own street, the drug and gang problem was getting totally out of hand. Indeed, to the point where I received personal death threats because I'm an old man that just would not shut up and mind my own business. Well, Hammett PD came through yesterday and today and did a major house cleaning. Although I missed some of the action, my understanding is that they made a pretty good haul of drugs and drug suspects, and I thank the PD for their effort. I applaud them. Chief Powell, thank you. But to continue on, your day I watched two characters behind the trailer park shooting up drugs, sharing a needle. And I was appalled and quite shaken to see this going on in my own city, and the fact that it's still a very seriously rampant problem. In trying to put together some kind of address to bring this situation forward, I was looking online, and I found a documentary that very much brought this situation to the forefront in every way possible I could think. So I downloaded these pictures. It is Seattle is dying, and below it I put a header, this could be Hemet. And actually it could be any city and town. The way that drugs and all the attendant problems have so taken over so much of our city's fabric. And it addresses everything very well, including members of the Seattle PD who have quit out of disgust because they feel their hands are so tied. They can't touch these people. They can't enforce the laws. And yet their streets are out of control. And indeed, why a lot of people are abandoning our cities and towns, abandoning California and the other West Coast states. So with permission, I have copied down some of these. I'd like to leave them with the city clerk so that they can just be dispersed, so that at your discretion, you can view this video. But like I say, it's the best thing I found that really addresses this problem. And like I say, it was very serious on my street until yesterday and today. Not so serious now. And again, like I say, I'd like to express my happiness at the Hemet PD for doing such a thorough job. And that's pretty much it. So,
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate the compliments of
Right.
the police department's action. And
I might leave you to the city clerk.
if I might make a friendly suggestion,
Sure.
feel free to share the information you're going to leave here with us. Share it with our state legislators.
I intend to do that. I intend to be the noisy old man on the block.
Okay.
And that's what's brought me here. Everyone else is hiding behind their doors. I have a couple of neighbors who have spent years will not come outside because of the problem. And today we saw that problem hugely mitigated. So,
Well, thank you for your comments.
great, thank you. Thanks.
Next is Dennis Fletcher, followed by Linda Rogers.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, my name is Dennis Fletcher, and I'm here to talk to you about a third of a series of seminars on homeless outreach that is being sponsored by yet another group in the city, the hospital. So now this is 5 by my count, and I'm looking at the lady that I'm hoping is going to coordinate all these different people so we can get some organization. But in the meantime, the Hemet Hospital, which has become another long name that nobody remembers, but they like to refer to themselves now as Hemet Global, put together with one of their interns a series called Community Outreach, and I've got a copy for each of you here. We are coming up on the third of the series. The second one was quite noteworthy. It was on mental health, and it was chaired by Jill Forbes, who's the head of our Behavioral Health Center here at the corner of Menlo and State. Really an outstanding organization over there. And we had practitioners there, homeless people, and interested citizens. Every one of the homeless people that was there contacted her afterwards and is enrolled in a program over there. So it was 100% successful from that standpoint. Tomorrow's is on housing. And I can't tell you who the speaker is, but they're going to explore housing options from 12:30 to 1:30. They furnish a brief lunch, and wanted to encourage you or any members of your staff who are interested in homeless housing to check it out. I'll be around afterwards if anyone has any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis.
Up next is Linda Rogers, followed by Marianne Derwin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I'm the Executive Director of Valley Restart Shelter, the homeless shelter located at 200 East Menlo. And I know that homelessness is a huge concern for the city and for the City Council. And I was saddened by the CDBG proposed allocations that there were no funding available for shelter services or for the bus ticket home. So I just want to explain, the bus ticket home has to do with taking people from the street who are, we would say, displaced here in our town, and allowing them to return to some place where they have somebody who cares about them or they have some kind of support. So moving them out of homelessness here into stability somewhere else. So that program has been, I think, very successful in being able to take people who are displaced here and move them safely. I think our shelter provides very good services to people who are wanting to move out of homelessness. Each year, somewhere between 250 and 300 people move out of homelessness within a period. This last year, I think it was 54 days, an average of 54 days. And so for you to just consider that as a possibility when you consider your allocations, that maybe you could put something in this line that would help the city and the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're not going to say my name. Hi. So I come here every week, every 2 weeks, and think I'm not going to speak, and then something strikes me, so I hand in my slip. So a couple weeks ago when I was here, I noticed that the city gave themselves an award for saving energy. I'm not sure what we're saving it on, since now we have a new energy company that's coming in, so it's going to give us an option of 2 different kinds of companies where we want to get our energy from. However, what I do want to speak on is that instead of the city giving themselves an award, it would have been really nice for you to actually acknowledge one of your own. She's not going to say anything, and she always likes to stand in the back. However, I think that Carly Meyer, what she did was outstanding when she helped those fire victims and stepped right in and took charge and had a plan and had different programs in charge and helped families get into other living or back into the apartment, or help them with finances to where they could go back to some normalcy in their life. I think it's really sad that you guys will sit up there and not even acknowledge your own when something good happens in this city. And I think that that's really something that should have been talked about or at least acknowledged. But to then give yourself an award for saving energy, I think is really, I don't know, self-serving. I didn't understand it when I saw it. So anyway, like I said, I never come up here or come to these meetings and I'm going to speak and then something hits me that I do. But I really think that at some point we should acknowledge that someone on your team did do something for the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no more requests to speak, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to item 6, presentations. And we have a Black History Month proclamation. Black History Month, I'd like to invite Human Relations Council to come forward as we present the proclamation.
Sure, I can let you know who we are. We're members of the Human Relations Council.
of the Greater Hemet, San Jacinto, and Menifee regions. This agency or organization is 22 years old, and we've been working with City of Hemet for a very, very long time. We have our Black History Month essay contest. Our award ceremony is this Thursday at 6 o'clock at the college, and it is co-sponsored by the College Diversity Committee and the Hemet San Jacinto Interfaith Council. I have with me this evening Michael Madrigal, who is one of our founders and been with us since right about at the beginning. We have one of our new board members, Dennis Fletcher, and behind you over here is Kevin Spear, who is one of our newest members. And so I'm very, very glad to have them here with us.
Very good. Thank you, Mary. And on behalf of the entire City Council, it is my pleasure to present this proclamation to you and your board on Black History Month. Whereas the celebration of Black History Month originates from U.S. Professor Carter G. Woodson's 1926 Declaration of Negro History Week, a week in February, which marked the birth date of civil rights activist Frederick Douglass. And whereas the theme of this year's observance, African Americans and the Vote, coincides with the 150th anniversary of the 15th Amendment, which gave African American men the right to vote. And whereas this amendment to the Constitution, ratified in 1870, prohibits the government from denying or abridging a citizen's right to vote based on race, color, or previous conditions of servitude. And whereas today this guarantee is enforced primarily through the Voting Rights Act of 1965, an enduring legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Movement. And whereas African Americans, as well as other people of African descent, have been influential in shaping world politics and diplomacy, and whereas the City of Hemet, in partnership and communication with residents, businesses, schools, and the Human Relations Council, is dedicated to building an inclusive city with opportunities for all. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Hemet hereby proclaims the month of February 2020 to be National Black History Month. So,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We look forward to continuing to work with City of Hemet. Our mission is to help promote positive and cooperative human relations in our community. And so we want to keep doing that with the City of Hemet. Thank you.
thank you, and thank you for all that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 7, receive and file. And I have a motion to receive and file item 7A.
Second.
Please vote. And that passes unanimously. Moving on to item 8 is the consent calendar. These items will be acted upon in a single action by the City Council unless otherwise requested by an individual council member for separate consideration. Are there any members of council that would like to pull an item for further discussion?
Yes, I would like to pull the minutes, item 8A. I would like 8H, please.
8H. Anyone else?
Mayor, staff would like to pull 8I.
Okay, so we're pulling item 8A and 8H and 8I. May I have a motion to approve the remaining items 8B through 8G?
Move to approve. Second.
Please vote. And that passes unanimously. Okay, Linda, item 8A.
Yes. In the minutes of the February 12th meeting, where did I write it down? Nope. Oh, what did I say?
12.
Oh, 11. Yeah. On item 9C, it states that the motion was made and seconded and that it was passed with a 5-0 vote, but the documentation underneath says that there were 4 ayes and 1 no. So which one is it? You can go back and check the video on that. So, yeah. So I think the passing 5-0 on that was correct, and that the no vote assigned to Carly was from the previous item that was voted on. And with that correction made, I would approve the minutes with the correction.
Is there a second? Second by Bonnie. Please vote. And that passes as amended. Carly, 8H.
I know that doing the CDBG is never fun, and it's always exciting. And but I do want to agree with Linda from Valley Restart and what she shared. Valley Restart this last fiscal year took care of 298 families or people. 59 of them were families, and a total of 189 children. And on this list, I know that we're so limited on the things that we can do, and that we might not have enough to give her $50,000. But is there any way that we could possibly consider something for sheltering? Because otherwise, we're not supporting anything for sheltering. And I think that our council has been supportive of our services, and so then when we have this type of things come up and then there's nothing, it probably rips a hole in their heart, because doing this type of work is very hard and it's not rewarding. Sometimes it's rewarding, sometimes more than not it's frustrating, because you're trying over and over and over to send out a lifeline to these people, and when they finally come in, and they served 46,184 meals last year. 71% were families. 57 were first-time homeless families. Their average length of stay was 49 days. And 89% of them left with housing established for their next move. And so the people that they work with at Valley Restart are people that want the help. They're not the people that I ask to get in my car and tell them I'll take them to somewhere. Those all tell me no. But these people want help. And so I think that as a city, I mean, I don't know if there's something that you guys would be willing to compromise on. I think it would be real important. Yep. Veronica and Lorena, can you come up and help address that? We talked at length about this, and basically what it had come down to Michael and I on was that it was mostly for the bus ticket home. And as service organizations, I've been approached by numerous ones saying, instead of, if money is going to Valley Restart for all of these things, we want to be involved in the bus ticket home program like United Way used to do. So is there any way that these things can be redistributed? And I'm not sure all of that information was in the application and what came to us.
Well, also to point out, when we first met with our CDBG administrator, part of the discussion was on the technology request.
Computers.
And so we had to get some clarification. Originally, we were allocating the money to the bus ticket home and services, and then when we found out that we could use money could go to technology, the technology request, we transferred it to the technology request just so that other organizations can participate in the bus ticket home. So that was the rationale behind that change.
And that program really is successful, and PD would, we've had input from them at the same time. And I know when funds have run out from other agencies before, I know PD will come to us. When I say us, I'm talking Rotary and Lions Club and Kiwanis and all the rest of the service organizations and the churches. And we all step up at that time to make sure that that program continues, but that maybe the funding source is different than what this is.
Right. So, and I understand that, and there are lots of organizations that like to help with the bus ticket home. The major portion of this line item is shelter services. And it was just a year ago that our council unanimously voted that we have a homeless crisis in this valley. And so for us to allocate nothing towards shelter services, I don't think that we can do that.
Good evening, Mayor Brown and council members. Veronica Allen, Management Analyst in the Finance Department. We took a serious look at all of the applications that were received, and initially, as Council Member Principal said, we were looking at Valley Shelter, Valley Research Shelter, and then the funds were moved to the technology grant. There is a cap of 15% for public services with CDBG, and we are at that 15% cap. I think that if the ad hoc committee is willing, some of the funds that are in the technology grant can be reallocated, part to technology and part to the Valley Research Shelter.
Is it reasonable that they could use the funds to their discretion between the two? No, it has to be the same.
It has to be in the application.
We don't have our books in front of us to see the. Do we have to approve this tonight? Can we take?
No. We can go to the next.
We can go to the first meeting in March.
Yes.
And get it. Then I would suggest let's pull this from the agenda. Go back through that application in particular, and look at how it was presented and why we came up. Because I still think the bus ticket home program should go to other agencies other nonprofits and groups that really want to participate in that program as they have in the past. But if there's something that if you're in agreement, if there's something we can look at and redistribute something without taking from anybody else.
Is it split out in the application between bus tickets?
I don't remember. I don't have it in front of me.
So Veronica, before the ad hoc committee does that, is there anything that they need to be aware about in terms of reducing other allocations for other line items, or would they have to make any other adjustments within those items?
In order to stay within the cap of public services, in that 15% cap, we cannot go over the dollar amount, so the adjustments have to be made within those allocations in that category.
So the ad hoc committee should just be mindful that that cap obviously needs to be within that. So just so everyone knows.
Absolutely. But there may be some other things we can look at. So if we can pull it from the calendar tonight and bring it back in 2 weeks, and set up an immediate meeting, and maybe talk to Linda also, and just have a more detailed report on what that $50,000 entailed.
That's good. Thank you.
Am I hearing a motion here?
No, I'm just saying let's pull it.
We can continue into the next meeting.
Next meeting, and we'll take care of it.
Okay.
That was a motion also.
So do we have to vote on that, or is that just yes? Okay. Then
Okay,
that's
we have a motion and a second to pull item 8H
continue it to the next meeting.
and continue it to the first meeting in March. Please vote. And that passes unanimously. Thank you, staff.
Thank you, Carla.
Yeah, do you want to make any comment on it? Okay. All right, we're moving on to item 9, public hearing, and we have no public hearings this evening.
We're pulled that. We need to bring it forward to a subsequent meeting, so we won't be discussing it tonight. Yeah.
So he's just removing it.
Okay.
Okay, so we're on to item 10, discussion and action items. And item 10A is a resolution approving a restated agreement with HR Green Pacific Incorporated and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement through June of 2021 and authorizing the city manager to utilize the general fund salary savings for the city engineer and principal engineer positions. And we have a staff report?
Yes. So, Council, the item before you tonight is essentially a restatement of a contract with HR Green. As you all know, HR Green currently does CIP administration for the city, does plan checks for engineering, does grant management for a number of grants that we have. And so as a result of the new projects that have come their way, whether it be by developer, whether it be by way of grants or CIP, there's a need to allow for some flexibility for the city to be able to move forward on additional projects that come our way. I had a chance to talk to a couple of you with respect to this item. We really need the flexibility to bring individuals from HR Green to be able to assist us as we move forward through different projects. What was included in the staff report was a list of projects that HR Green has taken the lead on, and as a result of the bringing them on board, they've been able to complete a number of projects, but as you can see, there's a number of other projects that we're still in the middle of, and so in the desire to try and create some flexibility, we've restated this contract to allow staff to have the flexibility to call them up, do different projects as it relates to non-general fund projects and really bring them to completion. So that's what you have before you. I should also note that for the general fund component of work that they do, the work that they will be doing is largely as a result of this salary savings as a result of the vacancies that we have in the engineering department. So there is no new allocation of funding that we're asking for. As those vacancies have occurred, we have a strong need to move forward on projects, whether it be through developers, whatever it is, that work can't stop. And so that's the item that you have before you tonight. Happy to answer any questions that you might have with respect to this item.
Okay, do we have any requests to speak on this agenda item?
No, there are no requests to speak.
Bring it back to council. Any questions of staff?
I want to make sure that we're still getting the timely plan check and engineering work for not just the big developers, but small developers and businesses that want to make tenant improvements, that we can get these things processed quickly and get people moving and get them up and open for business. So that if this is the way it means to get that done, I think it's a move in the right direction.
Appreciate that. And I should also note, too, if there's anybody on the council that has any questions about any project that's going through the plan check process, with HR Green being a nationally recognized and nationally established firm, they've got systems in place that really allow tracking to be of the utmost priority. And so if there's ever a project that comes across you that you hear of a developer or someone that's having challenges, let us know. We reach out to HR Green and make sure that we get information with respect to when those items were submitted, what the turnaround time is, and all that other detailed information that is really important to what you brought up. So happy to answer any questions that come up in the future as well.
I just have one question on the list on the project list, in that all of the street pothole filling and street rehab and everything, it says it's all coming from Measure A funds. Are we not using our SB ones?
I believe that's the RMRA funds that are listed.
That's the initial for SB1? Okay, that's all I wanted to know, is that we were getting it and that we were using it. Thank you.
The question I have for you is, like, organizationally, you are working on structuring things. You have our new Public Works director that we have. And this all fits into your plan. That's what I want to, and like if you decide you want things to be different, are we going to be penalized if we stop this before June 2021?
No, we're not. The ideal situation is bringing on full-time City of Hemet employees on the staff side. But as you know, we have challenges with, it's a good economy, so engineers can kind of write their ticket wherever they want to go. So the hope is to bring the staff on board permanently to accommodate some of the other day-to-day operations that HR Green is currently handling right now. But no, it wouldn't impact us.
Anyone else? Comments, questions? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion on item 10A?
I'll move to approve.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote. And that passes unanimously. Moving on to item 10B, a waiver of underground utility lines on Lake Avenue and existing Southern California Edison lines on Florida Avenue and cable communications line under the SCE lines for D.R. Horton for recorded track 31620, 31620-1, and 25618, generally located at the northeast corner of Florida Avenue and Lake Avenue. We have a staff report by HP.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I had a presentation ready for you, but it's not coming up, so we'll just go ahead and wing it. Basically, before you is a waiver of underground utility lines.
But before you get started, I think the staff has a copy of the presentation. The council has a copy of the presentation. Should be on your, okay, good.
Okay. So basically, this is a waiver of underground and utility lines for D.R. Horton applicant on track 31620, 31620-1, and track 25618. Again, the applicant is D.R. Horton. Project is located on northeast corner of Lake Street and Florida Avenue. Thank you. The project site is located on, again, northeast corner. You'll notice that there are little holes there in the the western section, and those are existing homes right now, so it's not part of this project. The utility lines that we're discussing is those poles that you see along Lake Street going north. All of those utility lines are, at the time when the track was developed, was not required to underground. D.R. Horton is purchasing 6 of the lots within the older tract, which is the 25618. They're purchasing 6 lots out of that. So for them to underground that pole would be an undue burden onto the project itself. The remainder of the lots that they're purchasing is 74, and those are in the other 2 tracts, which is 31620 and 31620-1. Back. So those are remainder of the projects on the facing Florida Avenue and to the east. This particular slide will show that the utility lines go across from the south side of Florida Avenue, and it crosses over to the north side, and it travels about 2 poles. Then it goes back to the south side. And we believe that that was done to bypass the trees that are on the street right now. So for the D.R. Horton to underground all of those utilities would be undue burden onto this particular project. The smaller poles that you see on the right side of the slide, other than the 2 that are underneath the larger poles, remainder will be underground, so there will be about approximately 9 poles that will be underground for the smaller, shorter poles. But the 2 that are underneath the bigger power lines will not be underground. So that's the proposal and waiver request. Staff is available to answer any questions. A representative from D.R. Horton is here to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any requests to speak on this agenda?
No, there are no requests.
Okay, bring it back to council. Comments, questions?
I have questions.
Did this go to the planning commission again? I saw that it had, but has it recently?
The undergrounding request did not go to the planning commission, no.
And is this the undergrounding of utilities that we voted on and then we've waived every single one?
I don't
It was
think
about
we
2 years
waived
ago?
every single one, but there are some that were waived by the council, yes.
Has there any actually been put underground, or have we been doing in lieu of fees?
I believe it's in lieu fees, but Steve.
I would like to know that.
Steve Russo is just here.
I've been working on this project. I'm sorry, what is your question, Councilwoman
My question
Myers?
is, we passed an ordinance to have undergrounded utility lines, and then we can get it waived by council if they want to pay fees.
Within the ordinance, you may require in lieu fees rather than undergrounding, but you also have the ability under the ordinance to waive them entirely. In this case, due to the circumstances of this project, staff has recommended that you waive them entirely.
My
The
question is-
undergrounding, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So the question is, have we undergrounded any since we made that ordinance, or have we waived everything?
No, there have been tracks that have been constructed that have undergrounded the utilities. What we have in this case is a track that was originally approved by the county and annexed to the city, and the undergrounding along Lake was not required by the county when that was approved. And then we're undergrounding the utility lines along Florida, except for those that are already below the utility lines.
I'm just saying, we passed an ordinance and then we keep waiving, and so it's just funny to me that we make things like
Right,
that.
again, it's,
Okay, my
looking
next one, now,
situational.
this is totally different. But I see on here that D.R. Horton is trying to get lot 48. And then he can't get lot 48, so the city helps get lot 48. And so, what is going on with that?
Lot 48 is the 25-foot scenic setback that the city requires along a scenic highway. Under normal circumstances, that would have been a lettered lot and dedicated to the city at the time of recordation of the map. However, for unknown reasons, that did not occur. D.R. Horton tried to interface with the owner of that lot and basically did not receive any responses, although they attempted several times. So staff approached that owner and asked him if he would be willing to dedicate that lot so that the improvements could be made along Florida Avenue, and he indicated his willingness to do so.
I'm just surprised of all the work that an obstinate owner would cause the city when D.R. Horton is a big name. I mean, why wouldn't he just work together? We really went out and did a lot of work on this, didn't we, for this gentleman?
Well,
Is
again,
that true or no?
Again, it should have been dedicated when the tract was recorded. I don't know why it wasn't. And
Well,
so
that kind of stuff
we're going back and trying to rectify a situation that the past engineering staff did not.
Well, you did it, so good job.
Well, we haven't got it yet, but we're getting there.
All right.
Maybe if we could just provide a little bit of background on the project itself, with this specific area, if you could just provide some general overview on the project. I know it's really important I know this council has really made it a priority for the council to provide direction to the city staff of, hey, let's build some stuff in the city. So with that direction being provided to the city, that's what we've intended to do and wanted to do. So if you could provide a little bit of background.
Well, as I said, this tract was originally approved, the tentative tract map was approved under the county. It was part of several tracts, including, the 25618, which is the area north of this, was known as the Orchard Project. It was built out under the city shortly after it was annexed, or that portion of it was. The three homes that HP showed you that were sort of out parcel were the model homes for the original project, and it was envisioned that both of these tracts would be built using the same models. development ceased over 10 years ago. The maps were recorded at that time, and the basic street improvements were installed within the tract, but not the perimeter street improvements along Florida. But development ceased. The northeast corner, which is still owned by Mr. Petty. Do you want to demonstrate where that is, HB? Those lots in the northeast corner where you can see concrete pads but no houses constructed, that's still retained by Tom Petty, and he's... John Petty, I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about NASCAR. John Petty. Mr. Petty has retained ownership of those lots and has not made those available for sale for D.R. Horton, but they're purchasing the balance of the project and proposing to come in and construct homes there. As I said, this project has sat dormant since before 2008. And so we've been working with D.R. Horton to try to facilitate development of this. And as you can see in the conditions of approval that are included in the packet, there were quite a number of special consideration that was given to this tract at the time that it was finally approved by the city.
The other thing, and we've talked about this, and I've had individual conversations with council members, is the number of homes that we've built over the last few years is pretty low. And so the push has really been, let's see what we can do to start building or having the developers build these homes. And so what we're trying to do is create the environment for them to make that happen. And so I want to commend the staff and also D.R. Horton for coming in and providing really professional, top-notch level of communication with the city of Hemet that I know that the staff is extremely appreciative of, because it's been transparent, it's been upfront, and I know that I can really appreciate that. So I want to thank D.R. Horton for the professionalism that they brought to the table in dealing with staff, so thank you.
More questions, comments? Nope. Linda? I just have one question. If you could go back to the slide that showed that one there. Just to make sure I'm clear, you're saying that the larger cable that's crossing over the highway that's lower down, that one stays, and the ones above it are going to be undergrounded?
No, so the smaller poles, or the shorter poles on the right side of the screen, that are between the two large poles, those two will not be underground, but the rest of the smaller poles on the north side of Florida will be underground.
Okay. Yes. And I don't know if it's just because that was a wide-angle lens. Is that pole really leaning like that, or is that because of the wide-angle lens?
It's probably
because if it's really leaning, I'd like to have Edison address that. Okay. If there are no more questions of staff, may I have a motion on item 10B?
Second.
Mike? Okay. Please vote.
It's not a no. Well, it is there, but it's like a no, Bonnie. It's supposed to be yes.
I'd say yes.
You can't change it now.
Okay, so that you're confirming that as a yes vote. Okay. All right. That passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 11, council and staff reports. So first up, Councilmember Meyer.
All right. Our first Community Action Commission of Riverside County meeting was February 20th, and I couldn't go because I had jury duty. So it was kind of unfortunate, but I will go again, or I will go the next time. But what can I do about that? I had jury duty Tuesday and Thursday. I didn't even get picked. That's fine. Okay, and then our Community Outreach Committee. If anybody here would like to join the Community Outreach Committee, it is a group of community members that are doing things in the community. So
I know there's several out here that are receiving the emails, and our next meeting will be the 16th of March. It'll be the third Monday of every month. So we have some big plans for our next meeting. It'll be upstairs at the library that I still need to go meet with Kathy so that I can make sure I can punch in and have access. So that will be great. Our Investment Oversight Committee meeting will also be that same day, since I was gone again at jury duty.
Yes, and the next one is March 16th.
Right, yes, the same day, exactly, yes, the same day as our other one. So that will be at 1 o'clock at City Hall. And that's all my reports.
I think jury duty counts as an excused absence.
Oh, it wasn't bad. Would have been better to be paid, but that's okay.
Planning Commission was canceled, and then ad hoc committee will talk about that later. We're going to have another meeting to go over what we just pulled today, so that's all I have.
Yeah, planning commission is canceled. I already reported on the Western Riverside Council of Governments last meeting. I'm the alternate for Western Community Energy Board, because now Mayor Brown is the designated person in that board. We did have a meeting about the skate park on last Wednesday, and we're going to be meeting again this next Wednesday, not tomorrow, following Wednesday, to determine our next steps forward and address some issues that we talked about in last Wednesday's meeting. So we'll have more to report after this meeting on next Wednesday. Answer?
Good to see some forward progress on that. Linda.
The library meeting was last Friday, and I missed it. So the library's doing good, right? Okay, the library's doing great. Water Master meeting was yesterday. Yeah. Everything is going forward on that. Diamond Valley Lake is at an all-time high, so if you want to go out and see what the lake looks like when it's 98% full, it will be probably, they'll be, dividing up the water in a little while. The bad news of the day is that even though in the State Water Project, most of the reservoirs are at the level they should be for this time of year, the snowpack does not have a lot of water in it. And on the Colorado River, the snowpack is very bad, and all of the reservoirs are much lower than what they should be this time of year. So we are not out of a drought. As Carly said, Investment Oversight Committee is March 16th. The next League of California Cities general meeting will be in Indio on March 9th. And that will be exciting. You're encouraged to wear flat shoes. We're eating outside. And after dinner, we are going to be playing golf cart polo. But we are not allowed to drive the golf carts. So the jockeys will drive the cart, and I guess we're supposed to hit a ball. I'm not sure about that. Ramona Bowl, no workers' comp. The Spring Festival will be April 4th, and I will tell you that is turning into one of the busiest days of the year because Valleywide is having their opening, and there's about the Masonic Lodge is having a chili cook-off. Everybody in town is doing something on April 4th, so it's going to be a great day. RTA is Thursday, and then SCAG is the first week of March. That's it.
Okay, well, I'm the alternate to the Water Master Board, and you had that meeting Monday. If you could just make a note on there that I am the alternate on that one. Infrastructure Commission has yet to be formed, and have the next League of California Cities Policy Committee meetings are going to be in Orange County this time, so we don't have to book airfare and deal with all of that transportation. So that's coming up. I attended my very first Riverside County Habitat Conservation Agency and got indoctrinated about the Stevens kangaroo rat. And it's just amazing to me that all of the brain power and energy and money that goes into this species, but it's moving off of the endangered into the unlisted category. So, yeah, but it's getting close apparently, and the next step is getting it actually taken off of the endangered. So I was really impressed with the technological means that they use to track this little guy and his families, using drones that have sophisticated high-def cameras and a software program that can basically color code the habitat and determine based on the assessment of that. And it's apparently got artificial intelligence that each time it makes passes over there in the mapping, it learns more and becomes more adept at actually identifying the habitat. So,
What's going to happen to the $3 million condos that Eastern had built in the
yeah,
that's right.
that wasn't on the topic of discussion, so can't say. Anyhow, that was an educational meeting for me, and actually kind of entertaining it in some way. So, and the Western Community Energy Board meeting is coming up again. Actually on the 11th. And we're moving closer to going live on that, so we're going to be kicking off actually in May. The literature is going out. I actually received a mailer from WCE, and we have a kiosk now that when I went to the last meeting, they actually provided me with a kiosk and information cards, and that's set up in our public area of City Hall. And they were surprised when I told them that I had received a mailer, because they said you shouldn't have gotten it yet. But then they found out that it's because I have solar. The people that have solar are in a different category, so there's getting theirs earlier. Did have a chance to attend a number of things. The Student of the Month was, again, an outstanding program. Very moving stories of these wonderful students, and their stories were very impressive. So that's always a great event to go to. Let's see, we had, I want to commend our police department, and particularly our police chief, for the outstanding job that they did on a very gruesome and tragic multiple homicide. It was all over the news. We had a press conference in here on Friday, and our police chief did an outstanding job, and we've even received favorable feedback from other police chiefs commenting on just how compassionate he was in making that press conference on a very difficult situation with family members and friends in attendance. So he slipped away, so he's not here. Oh, there he is. Okay. I was looking for you in the back there. So good job, Chief. That was outstanding under very, very difficult circumstances. And let's see, tomorrow night is the 48th graduation of our police volunteer class. So I'll be attending that and looking forward to seeing the new addition to our police volunteers. And I think that's about it for now. So,
I have one more thing we forgot.
okay.
A good time to go see the lake, Linda? our Diamond Valley Lake Marathon is March 7th at 8 a.m. for Habitat for Humanity.
Partway around it.
There